Hi, and welcome to Mentor Moments. My name is Paul Martin. I'm the Director of Academic Content here at the National Alliance for Insurance Education and Research, and I'm joined today by my colleague and friend, Kelly Surles, who is the Director of Corporate Accounts here at the National Alliance. Kelly, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Paul.
Kelly, one of the things I want to talk about today is just an idea that I've been throwing around, and it's that insurance is sold and purchased based on fear, and that people either fear losing their stuff, their property, they fear being sued by somebody for something, and they fear sickness and death. In every insurance policy, I can't think of one that's not related to one of those three things. What do you think about my little theory?
I think you're right on. You're spot on.
So when we think about their fear of losing their property or their stuff, what jumps out at you?
Probably my experience as a personal lines agent for 20 years in Texas. Anytime there was any type of storm about to roll through, the phone started to ring.
Yeah, I bet.
Where am I? What am I about to lose? Where am I sitting right now before this storm comes in?
All kinds of storms too.
Yes.
Yeah, hurricanes and tornadoes and hailstorms. But people really fear losing their stuff, and it makes sense. I mean, you think about it. The mortgage company makes you buy homeowners insurance, but that's not the only reason that you're buying it, because they're making you. People have property in their homes that they're worried about getting stolen. What are some of the things, more common things that people would ask you about? Is this covered or that covered?
More of the personal property and scheduled items, those types of things, the sentimental things that they feared losing.
Like, give me an example.
The jewelry item passed down from grandmother to daughter, and
of course the value goes beyond its monetary value, but sometimes those things are expensive.
Right.
And
right.
rare.
And so the fear of losing that item and how will we replace it was always a big fear.
Yeah. I know in the same way that businesses or other organizations, they invest a lot of money, sometimes millions and millions in property. And that investment is a real thing to them. And if they lost it. Now, unfortunately, some business people, in my opinion, don't really think it all the way through, because there are a lot of things that they could insure but that don't. But the fear's still there. They just know this place could burn down. It could get hit by a tornado. And businesses do burn. People and businesses, they fear losing their property.
They do. And I used to use that fear, I hate to say use that fear, from a sales standpoint, but more of an advisor standpoint. And what I mean by that is when we're talking about personal property levels and the amount of coverage, and that question comes in of how much coverage do I need? Do I have enough? And that's a really big fear when it comes to personal property, is in that large loss, do I have enough coverage? And you ask about that fear. So let me take you, client. Let's stand outside of your house watching that smoke smoldering. You start to think of everything that we are going to have to replace, from the shoes to everything, purses. I kind of laugh because the conversation changes male to female. When the males say, yeah, 100,000's enough, go ask your wife and let's talk about those purses she hasn't told you about, and ask her when we're standing outside the house and it's all burned down, is this really going to be enough?
That's a really good point. I used to comment about how if you really wanted to judge how you underestimate how much stuff you really have, the value of it, just go in your closet. And even guys can play this game. I mean, go look at how many Izod golf shirts do you have? How many long sleeve dress shirts do you have? How many jackets do you have? How many pairs of blue jeans do you have? Add all that up, and you're in thousands of dollars. You haven't even done the shoes or the belts or anything like that. Ties, you haven't even done that yet, and you're already in the thousands. Then look at, like, my wife's side of the closet, and it's the sheer number of shoes she has. And what are those a piece? And it really, really adds up. People do underestimate what they have to lose, but I think intuitively they get it, that I can lose my stuff. They also, of course, fear getting sued. Now, not everybody does. They don't appreciate all the different ways you can be sued. So what are some of the most common ways that an ordinary person gets sued?
Liability in an auto accident is the first thing that comes to mind. And, going with what you said on being sued, I always used to tell my clients, you don't have to be a millionaire to be sued like one.
That's a good line.
It's the truth. Anybody's going to sue you for anything. but auto insurance or auto liability claim is the biggest one that comes to mind.
You mentioned you can be sued like a millionaire. Right. They underestimate how easy that is to happen. Running a $100,000 hospital bill nowadays, that's just a few days you can do that. If you got to $300,000, now you're in the $1 million settlement zone when you get to $300,000. So it is not hard to get sued for $1 million.
No, it's not hard. And you're talking a lot about bodily injury. Let's talk about personal injury, slander, and our kids on the internet too. How many people have been sued lately for something their kids said on the internet? Just think about all the exposures out there.
Grown adults popping off on Twitter about somebody.
Talk about fear. My ex-husband built a half-pipe skateboard ramp in our backyard. And, there's a big liability exposure. Come on, kids.
Yeah. People don't realize how just your premises themselves create an exposure. A slippery front step, something that's broken, a hole in your yard, anything can end up with people getting injured. But of course, businesses have this same fear. Mm-hmm. And businesses, of course, they can be sued for, the list is endless of all of the things they do, whether it's their premises, their store, their products, their work that they do, cutting grass, anything like that. The work a brake shop does, it just goes on and on and on. And you hadn't even started on pollution liabilities and fiduciary liabilities for handling people's money, and it never stops.
Do you feel your fear rising as you're even speaking about it? I do. Yes, my anxiety goes up. Should I even be?
No, but the fear is real. And then finally, of course, people fear getting sick and dying. It's the whole purpose of health and life insurance. Mm-hmm. Even though health insurance has really morphed in recent decades into becoming something a little weirder when it comes to insurance. But life insurance, certainly nothing has changed. That people fear, of course people fear dying, but they fear the consequences for others of them dying. What will become of my family? What will become of my kids?
You just bring something to mind. What happened to life insurance sales during the pandemic?
I wonder.
I know rates went up, but what happened to sales? Did they go up? Did they go down?
That's a really, really good question. And it is really, really important. By the way, I don't know if I saw some stats, this was a couple of years ago, that of all of the premiums paid for insurance in the United States, well over half of it is health and life insurance. It's the majority of the premiums paid. And those premiums it's a valuable purchase. You're able to change what could happen to somebody's life with life insurance. And it can change either way, for the better or the worse.
Right.
If you don't have it, I've seen disasters happen to families because dad didn't have any life insurance and he dropped dead at 52. And of course, I've seen the flip side where there was life insurance in place. And I've seen a mother who didn't have to work until their children graduated from high school because she had plenty of money. And of course, it can cut the other way. She could have been the big breadwinner. But it's just a really valuable product in answer to this fear. So, you think my theory holds up? Well,
very much so.
Yeah, people fear losing their things they have. People fear getting sued. And of course, people fear getting sick and dying and the consequences of that financially to the family or to their children or whoever it is. Anyway, well, thanks for chatting with me today about this.
Thanks
it's
for
been
having
fun having
me.
you.
This was great.
Okay, great.